So you came back to die with your city.
I came back to stop you.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and in this installment of Versus, we're looking at who's the better crime fighter, Sherlock Holmes or the Dark Knight.
First, distract target. Then block his blind jab. Counter with cross to left cheek.
For this video, we're judging them on their detective abilities alone and want to find out who's the best at solving crimes. Let us know in the comments who you think is the true master detective. Round 1. Police cooperation. Both Holmes and the Bat have long-established relationships with Scotland Yard and the GCPD respectively, and in each case, this is more a matter of necessity.
You know, in another life, you'd have made an excellent criminal.
Yes, and you, sir, an excellent policeman.
Holmes doesn't really like Inspector Lestrade getting involved with his cases, though in many iterations of the character, he'll still gladly use police resources and crime labs if he's able. And the Met doesn't particularly like having to rely on Holmes to solve crimes either, largely because he makes them look totally incompetent.
So we can read her emails, so what?
Anderson, don't talk out loud. You lower the IQ of the whole street. We can do much more than just read her emails.
Holmes always operates on his own terms and takes on cases that interest him, though if he can help the cops by providing a deduction, he'll generally share his findings.
Then you were supposed to wait for my orders.
If I had, you'd be cleaning up a corpse.
This dynamic is prevalent in essentially every version of Holmes and doesn't change much. Batman, on the other hand, has a different relationship with Gotham's police.
Like a rat in a trap, gentlemen!
Though in the early days of his crime-fighting career, we see him consistently at odds with the GCPD, which doesn't like his vigilante ways, you can't get around the fact that Commissioner Gordon has always been one of his closest allies.
Commissioner Loeb set up a massive task force to catch you. He thinks you're dangerous.
What do you think?
I think you're trying to help.
Gordon is the first person on the force to trust Batman, and with Batman's help, he's able to deal with the GCPD's corruption problem and eventually become commissioner. Hell, even before the entire police force had total faith in Batman, they still built the bat signal to call him out for ominous rooftop discussions. It's clear that Batman wants and needs allies in the GCPD, and as long as Gotham's cops stay within the law, he's glad to work with them. Winner, Batman. Round 2. General knowledge.
Get out.
What?
Get out. I need to go to my mind palace.
This is a close contest. Holmes came from a time before computers, and even in modern adaptations, we don't often see him searching online for things.
You ever heard of the Golem?
Golem? It's a horror story, isn't it? What are you saying?
Jewish folk story. A gigantic man made of clay. It's also the name of an assassin. Real name Oscar Zunzer, one of the deadliest assassins in the world. That is his trademark style.
He needs to have a vast amount of general knowledge at hand, memorized facts, dates, and details that help him in his crime solving later on. And while Holmes knows as much about London as Batman does about Gotham, he clearly has knowledge of places far beyond London as well.
Cardiff?
It's obvious, isn't it?
It's not obvious to me.
Dear God, what is it like in your funny little brains? It must be so boring.
There's almost nothing Sherlock Holmes doesn't know. And you don't really see him going to Moriarty for help with a problem like you might see Batman going to Mr. Freeze for help.
How hard do you find it? Having to say I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, that's clever. That's very clever. Awfully clever.
We see throughout the comics in particular that Batman is a genius. He doesn't just learn complex martial arts during his training to become a superhero. He trains in many intellectual disciplines, including chemistry, history, forensics, and psychology. But he still often needs help in specialist subjects, even sometimes convincing his villains to give him a hand from time to time.
We don't have much time, Dave.
Who killed Johnny Vitti on Halloween?
The same person who killed Mickey Chen and his crew on Thanksgiving.
We need a better answer than that.
He especially knows a lot about Gotham and its history, shown in many of the comics. However, Batman's got something few other fictional detectives do: the Bat Computer.
You're back in fighting form. Let's have a go at the Bat Computer. Instead of Marcia finding the Bat Diamond, perhaps the Bat Diamond can lead us to Marcia.
When he can just call Alfred and ask him to Google something he's not sure about, it shows he might not be quite as sharp on the fly.
Alfred, I've ID'd the victim as Franklin Accardo.
His records are a litany of drug-related offenses, sir.
Holmes knows everything Batman does without the help of the Batcomputer, making this a clear win for him. Winner, Sherlock Holmes. Round 3, financial resources.
Got my eye on a nice little place in central London. Together we ought to be able to afford it. We'll meet there tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock. Sorry, got a dash. I think I left my riding crop in the mortuary.
In several adaptations, Holmes and Watson live together in a flat share because neither of them can afford to rent out a place in London alone. They rent their apartment from Mrs. Hudson for years in the original stories, and we often see Holmes and Watson between funds.
My secret supply, what have you done with my secret supply? Cigarettes, what have you done with them? Where are they?
You know you never let me touch your things. Oh, chance would be a fine thing.
I thought you weren't my housekeeper.
I'm not.
Holmes often lives paycheck to paycheck, as does Watson, meaning he has nowhere near the resources of Batman. Again, he only has himself to rely on for solving his crimes, sometimes getting help from London's underclass, like the Baker Street Irregulars.
Hold that cab.
Spare change, sir.
Don't mind if I do.
This could, however, hinder how quickly a crime is solved and a suspect is caught. Because Sherlock has no resources of his own to make use of, it does hamper his detective abilities.
Please, for God's sake, just stop it.
Few superheroes have as much money backing them as Batman, let alone superheroes who also double as master detectives.
7 million. Never leave the cave without it.
Billionaire Bruce Wayne has used the Wayne family fortune to build a myriad of gadgets, vehicles, and supercomputers to aid in his crime-fighting mission. However, in recent years, people have turned on Batman for his massive wealth and billionaire status, saying that Gotham's inequality is being made worse by Bruce Wayne, and that Batman doesn't help the people of Gotham.
You really could be doing more for this city. Your family has a history of philanthropy, but as far as I can tell, you're not doing anything.
While this is certainly up for debate, considering the world of DC is not the same as the real world, it's still an interesting question about whether Batman's vast financial resources do more harm than good. They do help him solve crimes, however.
She was wearing someone else's fingerprints. She's good.
She may be, but we have a trace on the necklace.
You do. So I cross-referenced the address she went back to with police data on high-end B and E's and Selena Kyle.
At the end of the day, though, this round isn't terribly close, as Batman's reach is virtually endless. Winner, Batman. Round 4, deductive skills.
What can you tell about me?
I don't think that's... I don't know that that's... Not a dinner. Perhaps some other time.
I insist.
This is a big one. Who's truly the best at plain old deductive reasoning? Holmes's deductions are the bread and butter of any Sherlock Holmes story. You don't primarily come to a Batman comic or movie to see Batman make artful deductions of crime scenes and clues, but that's absolutely what you want from Sherlock Holmes.
Where should we start?
How about them? The sentimental widow and her son, the unemployed fisherman.
The answer's yes.
Yes?
She's got a West Side Terrier called Whiskey. Not exactly what we're looking for.
Sherlock, for God's sake.
It's true to a degree that Holmes also uses technology, in that he can conduct chemical analyses and also utilizes forensic techniques that were ahead of their time in the 1890s. But he never has machines to just tell him all the answers. His leaps of logic are also more attainable, as he explains exactly how he came to his conclusions.
It is a well-known maxim of mine that when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the solution.
We see Batman make many deductions in the comic books, video games, and cartoons. Though this part of his character was partially lost in the movies until 2022's The Batman.
Any of this mean anything to you?
He's able to solve the Riddler's puzzles, for the most part, while in other versions he can solve crimes far faster than the GCPD. However, yet again, we cannot overstate the importance of the Batcomputer and the Batcave in helping him.
Penguin gone and my CEO access restored. I can finally log into Wayne Enterprises and see exactly what Oswald was doing during his time in charge.
His gadgets do most of the heavy lifting for him, allowing him to track people easily across the city, scan for chemicals, and perform complex forensic analyses without doing as much thinking himself.
I can analyze the first point of impact from here.
You can feasibly follow Holmes's example and learn to deduce things on your own, while you can't really build a comic book supercomputer to help you. It's close, but Holmes takes this round. Winner, Sherlock Holmes. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Round 5. Weaknesses. Though Holmes is a genius unmatched by almost anybody else he encounters, he's got some major weaknesses. Namely, he's got substance abuse problems.
What are we doing down here? We are waiting. I am smoking.
This dates all the way back to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's stories, rather than being a modern twist, and is something that persists in contemporary adaptations.
John, I need some. Get me some.
No.
Get me some.
No. Cold turkey, we agreed, no matter what.
Sometimes, Holmes's addiction takes almost complete control of him and leaves him unable to function, like in 2021's The Irregulars, where he actually needs the titular group to solve cases for him.
Sherlock Holmes. That's his name, isn't it?
He's unavailable.
Holmes is consistently an addict, and this can get in the way of his detective abilities, though in the stories, he can generally stay sober if he has a particularly interesting case.
With a ghost, Mr. Holmes.
Boring, boring, boring. No.
Batman, on the other hand, is perhaps the most strong-willed, strong-minded superhero in comics. He doesn't really have any weaknesses beyond not having superpowers. In fact, it is because he has no superpowers that he cannot have other weaknesses, or he wouldn't be able to feasibly hold his own alongside Superman, Wonder Woman, and so on. The weaknesses he does have include getting distracted by Catwoman and Talia al Ghul.
The child of Ra's al Ghul may decline.
But he's not the child of Ra's al Ghul. I am.
Still, Batman is so strong-minded, he can even overcome Scarecrow's fear gas when nobody else can, and can break free from the Mad Hatter's hypnosis.
But you don't understand. I need you. I can't win without you.
Then you lose. I'm not your slave. Not now, not ever.
Clearly, Holmes has more significant weaknesses than Batman. Winner, Batman.
Always bet on black.
It seems that the student has become the master. Batman was influenced by the pulpy Sherlock Holmes mysteries, but now he's the world's greatest detective by a final score of 3-2. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.